This is PJNET.TV, and this is my perspective and comments. In this video segment of My Perspective and Comments, we cover politics, society here and abroad, and the events of the day that are shaping our nation. PJNET.TV, My Perspective and Comment, coming to you with a worldview, one nation under God. Welcome to My Perspective and Comments. And I guess I'd like to start out right now and just say, I am science. No, folks. I'm not science. But apparently last week here in an interview, Dr. Fauci, I guess, believes that, yeah, he is science. And he said so. He was being interviewed on one of the weekend shows, and they were asking him about the pressure and the accusation that Rand Paul and Ted Cruz has been bringing out in public. In fact, Ted Cruz last week said that the DOJ should get involved to investigate some of the mistruths that has been alleged and testified from Fauci before the Senate hearings regarding what took place with it at Wuhan and the gain of function. And Fauci had a lot to push back and say, Senator Rand Paul, you're way off. You don't know what you're talking about, and totally denied any knowledge that that his agency, taxpayer funded, by the way, had anything to do with gain of function. And you ask, gain of function, what is that? That is basically the study or developing a way that a virus can jump from animal to human. And Fauci, no. But paperwork has come out. More information. People started to dig in to find out, well, what actually did take place, and they got documents, emails from China to labs in the States, and the key players that were involved in the development there in NIH. And Dr. Fauci, the evidence is showing that when you were before the Senate and you said you're absolutely not, you weren't, your agency was not involved in gain of function, documents are showing and telling a different story. So this is what Senator Rand Paul and Ted Cruz said the DOJ should get involved. And Fauci basically, what was his pushback this past weekend? He brings up, what's Senator Cruz, what does he have to say about things? I mean, hey, we should talk about January 6th, Senator. Kind of dispelling anything that was the accusation of gain of function. Let's not talk about that. We'll talk about Ted Cruz and what took place on January 6th. So we see Fauci deflecting, but evidence is there. Senator Rand Paul and was the questions and the questioning of Fauci really put a stake in the ground as far as where Fauci was coming from and how truthful was he and in his testimony. And the calls from Senator Ted Cruz and Rand Paul that there should be an investigation on a severe look and to get the DOJ involved, because we see a lot of inconsistencies coming out of Fauci's mouth of what took place almost 2 years ago in the development of what right now is looking like there was a lot of questions. Oh, no, it's, it came from a wet market. Well, more and more evidence and more documentation is telling another story. So there's that. There's Senator Ted Cruz, I believe, will be pushing for a further investigation. We'll see if that happens. We know you've got Biden, you're in the Biden administration, and I'm sure that there's going to be brakes put on there and obstruction to keep that from happening, but we'll see. Want to talk about what's been in the news here about natural immunity. The report is that natural immune people are at low risk of reinfection of severe disease from COVID-19. There was a study that was a research study that was taken at Qatar, and this study was published by the New England Journal of Medicine, and it's basically the overview is that natural immune people that have had COVID are showing a very robust protection from the COVID-19. So there's that study out there. I'd like to talk a bit about, when we start talking about our news organizations and really the lack of true reporting that we see in this country right now. I mentioned news organizations like MSNBC or CNN, or really you talk about any of the ABC, CBS, NBC, and they all have an agenda. They all have a slant. And in fact, we're starting to find out that there are some news organizations that just come right out and just don't tell the truth. And I guess they feel, or they figure that there's so many gullible Americans in this country that they can just outright look in the camera and lie to you, and you're going to accept it because it's coming from CNN. Now, we saw what took place, Kyle Rittenhouse, and what took place a year before of that. He's this and he's that. He's white supremacist. He went there, crossed state lines with a gun, and he was out. He shot black people there in Kenosha, and on and on it went. And now even after the evidence had come out that disputed everything that they were saying regarding that, there was still mouthpiece from CNN that were still calling him a white supremacist. So I've been hearing that the lawsuits may be coming forth quick at putting some of these news organizations, and there should be a big payday for Kyle Rittenhouse. So we'll be watching that. But also yet another report from CNN when it comes to the Christmas parade there in the Waukesha. The people out trying to enjoy a nice Christmas parade, and this car comes, no, this is CNN reporting. It wasn't. They went, and when you heard the reports, you heard something about, oh yeah, the individual that was driving the car, he was in a knife fight, and he was fleeing, and that was all. Some excuse, nothing about well, what's the MO on this person? What was the report? Was there anybody going to bring a report on where was this guy over the last 6 months? What has he been doing? Has he been in trouble before? None of that. But what you did hear was that the car raced through the city and hit Christmas paraders, killing 6 people and injuring scores other. And that report came under real scrutiny when the focus was on the car did the damage. The car did the killing. And not really getting down to what's the MO of this guy. And, had he been in jail? And, was there problems before? What was the history of this individual? They forget about that. It was the car that did the damage. So, again, CNN and their fake news reports, and it's really becoming clear they're the organization, so-called news organization with an agenda, and we see it if you watch that propaganda, Democrat propaganda machine. Again, CNN. Let's talk a bit about the Cuomo brothers. And this past week, CNN has indefinitely suspended Chris Cuomo. And now we're hearing now that because of the criminal case that's against his Chris's brother, Andy Cuomo, ex-governor of New York, evidence has come out of how Chris Cuomo was involved in what the strategies on pushing back against the women that brought the accusations of sexual misconduct and criminal activity surrounding that. And Chris was involved with his brother with strategies on pushing back and bringing in helping his brother bring a narrative that would bring doubt against these women, and that strategy to push back against those accusations. So because the criminal case against Andy has opened up some more information, we see his brother is in that umbrella of influence, and how he participated in helping Andy tamp down those accusations. So again, Chris Cuomo, this past week, CNN has indefinitely suspended Chris Cuomo. And if you've heard any of reports out of CNN, again, another anchor that if you've followed any of his work, very critical of again, the CNN model, the fake news. It's you never get the full story, and it's always got a spin. And we know that if it was a Democrat talking point, Chris Cuomo would be right there with it. So that's that with again, another example of CNN, a failed network, fake news network, and we see yet another example of that failure in that network. They're not the only ones. MSNBC is pushing a close first, or even close second, if that. But again, we've seen the reports you hear out of that, those networks, and as I said before, you go through all the ABC, CBS, NBC, they all have that Democrat spin. And we see it. If you've watched any news, it doesn't take long to see where they're coming from. And if it's liberal, they're all for it. So again, Chris Cuomo has been put on indefinite suspension. I'd like to talk about Jack Dorsey. He's stepped down from Twitter. He's no longer the CEO there, and Twitter has really taken the mask off. They now they've revealed that they really are. They're not a platform. They're publishers, and really they need Section 230. That protection needs to be removed. And the new guy coming on board sure looks like that's where he's going to be pushing Twitter as a publisher. Not a platform, a publisher where he's going in and editing content and shadow banning, kicking people off if they don't, and censoring those that will be on Twitter if it's something that they don't like and it doesn't fall in that approved narrative. So more to come and more to be seen from Twitter. In fact, terms of conditions have changed, and that's where you really can see where Twitter's coming from as a publisher. If you take a look at the new terms of conditions to be on the Twitter platform, they've taken the mask off. I'd like to talk a bit about the Salvation Army. In the news this past week, but they've been scrambling and tap dancing around what took place, where basically there was memos out there that were talking about, well, look, when if someone comes to the kettle and they want to give a gift, they really need to talk about, and if they're white, they need to, just express remorse for their inherent racism, and they need to repent, at that time, and then they can give their donation. So, Salvation Army, I guess a week after this was released, have come back and said, no, that's not correct. But the evidence has been out there, and they did a backpedal real quick when they got the pushback on what they were requiring. And again, we see another organization trying to go woke, and I believe Salvation Army felt the backlash of that. So I'd like to have us take a look. There's been so much happening. We've had when it comes to what's been going on in the federal courts. What we've seen is there's been, I would say 4 to 5 federal court cases that have brought this mandate, the Biden mandate. And I'll say right now, today, there are holes on everything when it comes to federal contractors, when it comes to the 100 or more employees. There's been a hold. In fact, the wording is from one of the, I believe it was the Louisiana court district, said that what is taking place here from this push in the Biden administration is like a sledgehammer, and this ruling was really a slap on the administration's hands for what they're trying to do, forcing OSHA to do their dirty work, or forcing companies to do the government's dirty work. So as of right now, there is nationwide, there's a hold. Now, again, as I mentioned before some weeks ago, your companies were being, pushed, even though the federal courts have said no, these are not in effect. No. Biden administration is still saying, well, companies, you can, I'd still recommend it in moving forward with that. But right now, in this country, the law is that no, none of these mandates are in effect, and they won't be until it's litigized, and it goes through the courts. So at this point, it's going to have to go to a court, and there's going to be a ruling on this, and this is unconstitutional. So at this point, if you have a company that's saying, well, you've got to get it, in law right now there is no mandate. So but there's going to be some companies that are going to still try and push it through for the Biden administration. But in law today, there is no mandate, and that needs to be emphasized. And I would say whatever it takes to if you've got a company that's saying, well, we need to have this done, if you can hold off, if you can just say you haven't got around to it yet, there's really no deadline for this, you'd like to wait and see what the legislation, what these rulings are in the federal court, because it looks like right now it's going to go right to the Supreme Court. And, again, this is not constitutional. But I know a lot of people are under pressure. And we're not, we're talking federal contractors. We're also talking medical workers. There's that mandate that covers that in. I know in Ohio, there's the case there. I know here in New York we've had, there are the medical. Doctors and nurses and medical professionals that have been let go and have left. But there is a ruling right now that it's in the courts. And, if at all possible, hold your ground and let it go through the courts, because again, this ruling, this won't stand. This Biden tyranny and push will not stand when it comes to these mandates. So I'd like to have us take a look. As I said, there's been so much going on, but I'd like us to take a look at a couple of videos, one of which will be talking about just kind of a review of what took place there at CNN with Cuomo and Chris Cuomo. And we're also going to hear from Jim Jordan talking about Dr. Fauci and some of the things that are going on legislative, the push from the left, and what needs to be done to push back on some of the laws that are being brought to bear against the American people. So I'd like us to take a look at these two video clips. And again, it'll be starting with just kind of a summary of what took place there at CNN with Chris Cuomo and then Jim Jordan. Here, take a look.